Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the PodUp with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. PodUp, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Wednesday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It is hump day. That means we're joined by Johnny Cornell, JC. You can follow him on Twitter at JC Sports Radio. The second portion of today's program, we're joined by my former teammate and a tremendous wide receiver here at the University of Florida, Ernie Mills, will be joining us. So in the meantime, though, let's head on over to the Titan Tomorrow hotline, and we're joined by JC. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Okay, QB, good to be with you on a Wednesday. Hopefully we can escape some of the weather again today like we did yesterday on my part of town, and I hope that maybe to get outside a little bit today and do some fun things. But last night I was watching sports, and I was watching some of those basketball games, and that Miami-Boston game was tremendous. I was really impressed with what the Heat are bringing, but I was even more impressed with what Denver was able to do to your beloved Clippers and beat them by 15 points and win 3 straight games. That's a stunner. That's a stunner, QB.
It's a stunner because, A, they come from three they were down 3-1, and they come from double deficits in all 3 games and win the series. But the Clippers were the major favorites to win the NBA title, major favorites, and they're not there anymore. So
No.
It was. I only watched part of the first half. I watched all the Heat game. I thought it was a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
We'll talk later in the show because my play of the day, I won't give it away. But the Heat are fun to watch. Celtics are pretty good, but that to the Nuggets, and they're moving on to play the Lakers. It would not surprise me if they don't beat the Lakers.
Right. Well, listen, Jamal Murray is one of the best players in the world right now. There's no doubt about it. 40 points last night. And if he's hot, if he stays hot somehow, then they're going to be right there with the Lakers. But that, I won't spoil your play of the day, but that game with Miami and Boston last night, I thought we were going to, tie the game there, and it was just tremendous. So I think they're really surprising me with how intense these games are in this very different environment, and it's good to see and it's good to watch, and really I think you'll see a pretty good series between Denver and the Lakers, and I know that Boston and Miami will likely go 6 or 7 games, so that's pretty cool to watch. I'll tell you what else, the U.S. Open starts tomorrow, QB. You know that, right? It's Wednesday. We're going to crack open a 120th version of the U.S. Open in golf, and it's going to play really, really difficult, I think. You're looking at a 7,400-yard par 70. So it's going to play extremely long with very difficult conditions. The long hitters, I think, will have an advantage as usual. And I think you'll see, some of the main guys that we've been watching here recently who can hit it far and win, the Justin Thomases, the John Rahms, the Dustin Johnsons, be favored to win this. But I wouldn't be surprised to see some of the younger guys like Morikawa, again, Rahm, Victor Hovland, even people like that to do very well. Yeah, Matthew Wolff. And those guys keep the ball in the fairway. Hovland is really good off the tee. He was the low amateur in last year's U.S. Open, I remember. So, not having galleries there, I think, allows these younger players to kind of settle down and relax a little bit. I don't think the pressure is as badly or is as bad for those guys who are new to this as it otherwise would be, because I think with galleries there is a certain amount of pressure maybe they're not used to seeing. So the young guys have really benefited, I think, with the environments that we're playing in, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Morikawa and certainly John Rahm, who's probably the best player in the world without a major, who's won twice this year, be a big factor in this tournament. It's just going to be really fun golf to watch because you and I both like to see these guys challenged.
Yeah. Before we keep talking about golf, we want to send our thoughts and prayers out to everybody on the Gulf Coast there, Pensacola, Destin,
Oh,
Orange Beach,
yeah,
Alabama. That
yeah.
hurricane this morning, and it's not going to be good. So,
Well, it's slow moving, QB, and that's the problem with this thing, and that's the surge and the storm flooding and so forth. But it went east. Gulfport and Pascagoula looked to be directly in its path, and it shoved east toward Alabama and Pensacola and Mobile. So that area is catching it, the brunt of it. And unfortunately, again, this storm just isn't moving very quickly, so there's going to be an awful lot of water. And I just, here we go. It's that time of year, right? September. That's kind of what we are used to around here.
yeah, no doubt about it. Back to golf. Yeah, I'm anxious to start watching tomorrow. I hope, as you mentioned, it's going to be long and it's supposed to be tough. Sometimes they think it's going to be tough and these guys still tear it up. I hope they have the rough grown up. I hope they have
yes, they will.
Ways. The U.S. Open is supposed to be extremely difficult, and I hope, I said yesterday on the show, I hope like -3, -4 wins the tournament.
Wouldn't be surprising at all. And what I think is really good, though, is that you've had such good golf leading into this tournament. And with the way Dustin Johnson is playing, you've got a favorite, but you've got so many other guys that I think are capable of winning this. And, of course, this is the same course, QB, as you remember, back in 2006. It's Wingfoot in New Jersey. Back in 2006, Phil Mickelson had he had a lead going into the last hole. He pulled out a driver and made a double bogey on that hole to lose the U.S. Open, which is the only major he hasn't won. And I'll give you a quick trivia question here, QB. You may not get this, but who was in his group watching that happen, and who was ahead of him who actually ended up winning the tournament? You know that answer?
I don't know.
So Colin Montgomery was there with him, and Monty was, but the guy who won it is a guy who at the time was thought of as one of the top 5 best players in the year and has literally disappeared off the PGA Tour, and that's Jeff Ogilvy. You might remember Jeff Ogilvy, yeah. So that guy somehow benefited from Phil's mistake, and it's just, that's what I remember from Winged Foot. And it is a great venue. And Tiger Woods has said, as a 15-time major winner, this is probably the toughest test for a major that he's been involved in since he's been playing. So this is going to be a real test of golf. I think these guys have to obviously find fairways. If Tiger can do that, he might make the weekend, certainly. His putter has been awful.
Making the cut are, honestly.
Well, I would say they're at 50% because to me it's about his driver. If he keeps the ball in the short grass, he's got a chance. But
you can say that for everybody.
Well, yeah, but the difference is that he would make putts, and he hasn't made putts. He has no chance at all of making putts or even being a factor if he's not in the fairway. A lot of times when he was making putts and winning majors, he was very accurate off the tee box, or he was a great scrambler off the tee box. And so his putter has been a real disappointment, but his driving of the golf ball has been bad as well. So Rory Mcilroy, last 8 major starts, I think he's plus 16 in the first round. He's a combined 23 under in rounds 2 through 4, so he has to get off to a good start to be a factor. And really, he's 0 for 9 in his last majors. So Rory has to get it going early, I think, if we're going to expect to see him on the be a factor on the weekend.
Yeah, my sleeper pick is not going to be playing. He's got COVID. I thought Scotty Scheffler game fits this U.S. Open so well. So he's not playing. So I'm going to, I think Dustin has a chance, but I think it's time for Xander Schauffele. He is such a good putter, and he gets it a long ways for a little dude that's small. He's going to be my pick to win it.
I think I read somewhere where he was like one of the only pros currently on tour before just recently not to have a hole-in-one. I read that. And in any golf outing his entire life. I thought that was funny. But John Rahm is a guy that I think is very sneaky. And if his putter gets cranking, he's as long as any of them. I think DeChambeau has a chance to be a factor in this because of his length. He'll have to be accurate. He what?
He doesn't hit it straight at all.
Well, right. No, I was going to say his accuracy is going to have to be really in line this weekend, but he's very long. But I think Rahm At 25 years old, again, I believe he's truly the best player in the world without a major. He's won twice this year. Look for him and look for Justin Thomas, as always, a factor in these types of things. And Morikawa will play well, too, because he putts so well. I believe Morikawa.
Okay, so give me your 2 picks to win the U.S. Open.
My 2 picks for the U.S. Open this year would be either Jon Rahm or I'll go with I don't want to say Dustin Johnson because that's too easy. Anybody can pick him. I'll just go with. I'm going to go with Dustin and Jon Rahm. Yeah, I think those are the 2 guys right now who.
That way, JC, you're going with the number 1 and number 2 player in the world. Attaboy. But it really doesn't matter. It's golf.
What if they win? Right.
Win. I'm going with Xander Schauffele and Justin Thomas.
That's really going out on a limb too, QB. So Justin Thomas.
My first pick is Scotty Scheffler, but he's not playing because he's got COVID. So,
I'll give. Okay, let me give you a long shot. I'm going to give you a long shot, and I'm going to go with a guy like. I can't say Gary Woodland. He won last year, but I want a guy who hits it far. I'll go with DeChambeau as a long shot. How's that?
Okay, then my long shot is going to be Matthew Wolff.
Good player, certainly within his capabilities to win. He played great at the PGA, and I think he's going to win a lot of tournaments. Yeah, no doubt about it. I like Hovland, too. Something says to me, watch out for Victor Hovland.
All right, we're speaking with JC on the Tight Number Hotline. Don't forget, next week on Monday, we're going to have JC Deacon join us, and he's going to recap the U.S. Open for us, talk about his career as well. And then on next Wednesday, we got a good lineup, but next Wednesday we got Bobby Bowden joining the program. JC,
oh, Bobby. Well, you got to ask Dadgummit, Bobby. Dadgummit, what's happened to that offensive line, and what's wrong with that team? That team is so pedestrian right now. And I just asked Bobby, how long is it going to take him over there? He's obviously a good coach, Norvell, but it's going to require a couple good recruiting classes in my mind because they just don't have the material or the type of player that were used to seeing when you played against them and that most of the Gator Nation is used to seeing when Florida State plays. This team is, they're going to need this week off to try to get better before they go to Miami, who is not a great, formidable force at all, and will have a struggle with Louisville probably. But I think Miami can beat Louisville, win that game, be 2-0, and getting ready for Florida State. And those are the kind of teams who can trend upwards if they get some early momentum and get better, hopefully. But I think Florida State's issue is basically talent related, and I just don't think Willie was able to get the kind of players he thought he could get when he was there, and they certainly didn't teach him much. So Florida State's they're a couple years away, definitely.
Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. September's your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. JC, you got that Corvette wrapped yet?
That Corvette's ready. It's just so rainy out here. I love taking the roof off, QB, but we got to get this. I think next week is going to be dry. Next week we're looking at drier conditions because there's a high pressure ridge that's going to dip down through the jet stream and shear off all of this very bad weather we're having in the Gulf of Mexico region.
Don't forget we're going to have Ernie Mills here in the second portion.
Ernie.
JC, so I was going to tell you I had a great stat for you and for all our listeners. Back to college football. The Oklahoma Sooners, okay, they won. They beat Missouri State Saturday.
Yeah.
That was the first time that Oklahoma has won a game with a quarterback that they signed out of high school since 2014.
Oh, man. A lot of transfers to go to Oklahoma. Yeah, that's a long time, 6 years. Wow. Well, a lot of guys want to play for Lincoln Riley. A lot of guys want to transfer to Oklahoma, man. I mean
that's an amazing stat.
Yeah, a lot of guys transfer over there. I think
but for
it's
6
good.
years, they did not win one game with the quarterback that they signed out of high school.
Yeah, I'm surprised to know that. But I understand. I think that, it makes sense to me when you look at Mayfield transferred, Jalen Hurts transferred. You got guys that transferred. Yep, Kyler Murray. Yeah.
That's just
amazing. That is amazing. Hey, I know you're excited about that Clemson Citadel game this weekend, but I'll tell you, the ACC is, and we talked about this on Monday, it's really bad. And it's a one-horse race there, and only Clemson can beat Clemson in that league. And I was also thinking about the Big Ten last night, and there's been rumors and some noise out of there that these presidents are going to get together again here within the week and maybe have a revote to crank up their season again. There seems to be word coming out of people like Brett McMurphy, people who cover football, college football specifically, that are saying that, there could be another vote in the Big Ten to get these guys back on the field and scheduled for an October 7th or 14th start or somewhere in that area. Have you heard that?
Yeah, it's going to happen. They'll be playing.
I think it is. Barrett Salih had something on Twitter on CBSSports.com last night talking about how they're going to reveal plans to play college football this year. And the Nebraska president, I think his name is Ted, whoever, he was caught on a hot mic not knowing that it was open, saying something about, we're just about ready to get this thing cranked up. So he would know, obviously, being a high-ranking official in a Big Ten school. And Nebraska has been one of those schools, along with, I think, Iowa and Ohio State, who have really been pushing and pressuring the leadership of that conference to get some plans revealed or show some transparency on their decision-making process. And, what we're looking at here is a potential for better testing for the COVID-19 virus, where you would get results almost immediately after being tested, which gives them the capability of being more comfortable with player safety. And I guess that's going to be their rationale for changing their tune only, 30 days later when they voted to cancel the season. So that, I think you're going to hear a lot of noise about the new testing protocols and procedures that are going to allow these schools to get more comfortable by putting players out on the field.
Yeah, speaking of COVID, did you see, JC, where Florida suspended workouts for girls lacrosse and baseball?
I did.
Cases, I think, in girls lacrosse and like 16 or 18 baseball. That doesn't concern me. The reason, because they're not in season. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, they're not. They're just practicing.
When you look at the football has like six pauses, I think they said, something along those lines. But when you look at lacrosse and baseball, you can't expect those kids to stay within a bubble when it's not their season. They have to be
correct. Yeah, they have to. That's exactly right. I mean, some kids may have to walk to labs. Some kids may have to walk across campus to get something to eat. I mean, they have to be like the rest of us, right? So what do they do if they're like the rest of us? Well, they do the same things that the rest of us do. They wear their mask, they wash their hands, they try to social distance. These are the things you have to do, and these are the things that are being asked of you to do. And if you catch it, you catch it. But, you can't be reckless about it. And hopefully, this will not expand into a bigger number. But you're right about baseball. They're out of season. Now, lacrosse,
that's in the spring.
That's in the spring. So they don't even have a fall season either. So I think you're right. That's not as big a problem, but it's certainly newsworthy. So yeah. I think that the football guys know what's at stake here. They realize that they've been watching football. They have to sit through another weekend before they can get cranking, because the 26th is still a little over a week away for us. So even though everybody else will have already played 2 games in the other 2 conferences, for the SEC, it's very important that they get through this weekend and we don't have any surprises as we get ready to start that game week of preparation for their first game.
Yeah, we're speaking with John Cornell, JC, on the Titan & More Hotline. We're joined by Ernie Mills here shortly. JC, before we let you go, give us a rundown. Your Lightning lost last night, huh?
The Lightning lost 2-1. Braden Point did not play. It's a very different team when he does not play. They cannot count the Islanders out. I mean, we saw what happened to the LA Clippers. You got to play hard to finish it off. Dallas Stars did that the other night, losing 2-0 to Vegas in the third period and then scoring three unanswered goals to advance and win the Western Conference. So you've got the Dallas Stars, who were the 3 seed in the West, getting through their play into the Stanley Cup Finals, and hopefully to face Tampa Bay, who will play again in Game 6 to try to beat the Islanders and finish that series. I think Point will play, and if they do, there's also word that Steven Stamkos, their captain, may make it for the Stanley Cup Final. So we'll have a full roster for the Tampa Bay Lightning, but they still have to win one more game, and sometimes winning that 4th game is the hardest in a 7-game series.
And just to recap, JC's picks are chalk. Dustin Johnson, chalk. John Rahm, and your long shot was DeChambeau.
Bryson DeChambeau was my long shot. Yes,
Okay.
he was.
My picks were Xander Schauffele, Justin Thomas, and Matthew Wool.
And I'll be rooting for your picks because I really love Justin Thomas. So, yeah.
Why do you like him, JC?
Well, I think he played his college golf at a wonderful place. And, Alabama's known for their great golf teams in college. They've won national championships there. So, Michael Thompson's another Alabama golfer. He's won this year. So, let's see how he does. But the U.S. Open is my favorite tournament other than the Masters. So, I think we'll see some outstanding golf, but I think it's going to be a real test, and that's what's going to be interesting.
Who do we got Thursday night? Because we won't have you back until Friday. What's the Thursday night schedule?
So Thursday night is that much-anticipated game that you've been really eager to watch and excited about with the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers.
I believe that's Friday night.
I believe you're right. So that's the first gosh darn it, you're right. That's the first college game. But we got the Battle of Ohio tomorrow night with Burrow and Baker Mayfield trying to find out what it's like to win a football game. Cleveland and Cincinnati. That game is in Cleveland. I don't think it really matters where they play these games right now. But I think you'll see a pretty good game. And I think the Bengals are vastly improved. They could win 5 or 6 games this year. I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Joe Burrow played pretty well.
I think so. For a rookie? Ah, hell. I mean, he had them in position to win the game. Isn't that what you ask any young quarterback to give your team a chance to do? He had one bad turnover that almost cost them the game, but to the defense's credit, they were able to get the ball back. He drove them back down the field. They got a bad call or a bad break on an A.J. Green PI in the end zone, but then the field goal kicker shanked a 30-yarder. QB, a 30-yarder, that's as long as your driveway, and he misses it. So, I mean, this is a kid that he hit a 50-yarder earlier. That was a chip shot, and then he pulled up lame after he missed it because either he really hurt himself or he was ashamed of missing it. I don't know which, but it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch the Lions lose the way they did, and these teams that are used to losing have to figure out ways to win and how to win. And I think Cincinnati will do that sooner than later, but it's a tough division with Pittsburgh and Baltimore in there. Cleveland gives them the best chance to get a division win, I think, and that hopefully will happen for their sake on Thursday, tomorrow night.
All right, JC. Well, get them straight. We'll talk to you.
Yeah, watch out for my Padres, too, my National League team. The Padres, a great pitching staff, young team, fun to watch. Look out for the Padres. They're coming for the Dodgers, your Dodgers.
They're my Dodgers.
That's right.
I only have one baseball team, and if they win, great. If they don't, they don't. I don't change that or any of that kind of stuff.
Okay, good for you,
watching the Braves because it's on TV on WTBS. The Braves win, great. If they don't, I lose no sleep. But the Braves are pretty damn good. They can swing the bat.
They are, and it's a great place to watch a baseball game. When the crowds come back, you want to go to Atlanta to watch a baseball game. It's a lot of fun there.
Well, JC, be good, my man.
All right, we'll see you guys on Friday.
At Center State Bank, we put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida and understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 5 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Center State Bank, member FDIC. We're going to take a time out here. When we come back, we'll be joined by former Gator wide receiver Ernie Mills. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Hey Gator Nation, this is your former head ball coach Steve Spurrier. Check out our show Inside the Huddle with Shane Matthews and Steve Russell every Tuesday during football season on 8:50 a.m. and 98.1 FM WRUF at 10 o'clock a.m.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gainesville Turnover Specialist. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Our touchdown sponsors are Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance, Pomodoro Cafe, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Aver and Smith Personal Injury Attorneys, Orange Theory Fitness, PRP Regeneration Specialist, and Dowling Signs. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to this Wednesday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point is where the Gators come to celebrate, with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike, Medici's, Regal Cinemas, and coming spring of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators come to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan Tomorrow hotline, and we're joined by a guy that did a lot of celebrating in the end zone for the Gators, number 14, Ernie Mills. Good morning, Ernie. How are you?
Good morning, Shane. I'm good, man. Good. Congratulations on the PodUp, baby.
That's right. So, Ernie, let's go back to a young Ernest Mills out of Dunellen, Florida. I know you probably played every sport down there.
Yeah.
What other schools recruited you, and did you always want to be a Gator, or were there some other schools that you thought about going to?
Well, the best way I can say, I always wanted to be a Gator, probably from around the 6th grade when we had a couple of guys go from Dunellen to the Gators. They won 2 straight state championships, so following that team pretty heavy. Those 2 guys going, and then Vito McKeever, Roger Civil, and then the following year, Ricky Eastman went. So from that point, I was probably 7th, 8th grade when I knew I wanted to be a Gator. Before that, I was like everybody else. I watched everybody else, especially during that time. And as a kid, I had a bunch of different teams. Schools I was interested at that time. No main team until those guys went to the University of Florida.
Now, did you take any visits to other schools?
No, I didn't. We had we was a pretty good basketball team, so we was number 1 in the state, and I didn't want to miss a lot of time going on visits. And this is before now they visiting even in the summertime, so the visits wasn't going on that time. And I was already going to Florida games, unofficial visits for the games that they normally do. So I was already doing that going into my senior year. Florida State recruited me, Mickey Andrews. He's probably the first big school and the first big guy to recruit me during that time, because he used to coach at Florida, so he remembered those guys. And our film was 16 millimeter reel. You remember those days. And, so not a lot of guys was coming in Dunellen at that time, and you had to know somebody from there to even know about coming through this little small town.
What coach on Galen Hall's staff recruited you out of Dunellen?
Mike Heimerdinger. Dinger, yeah. Coach Dinger. Dinger was my guy. Mike came through probably, I think, just like today, once the big school started recruiting someone, everybody else started coming in. So once Mickey and Florida State was interested, then Florida got on board, and I was playing cornerback at that time. So that was strange for Mike to come in, but then he brought in Xavier Uralian, who was a DC and DB coach, and those guys saw me play bump and run back in the day. So that got me the offer from Florida.
Yeah. So once you come to Florida, Ernie, when did you, as you mentioned, you played DB in high school as well. Did you try to play both when you were like a freshman? Did they want to try you at both, or how did that work out? Until
that's interesting, man. When I got there, I was strictly corner, and because coming in from my school, we ran the ball all the time. We weren't a passing team, so playing receiver wasn't even an option. I was actually a backup running back during that time, and my junior year played safety, senior year played corner because of my size. I came in, I think I walked on Florida campus at 165 pounds. So I was a corner at that time. I redshirted the entire year at corner. That was fun times. Covered Rick and the Till and Brett Wickman and Eric Hodges, some of those guys. So I covered those guys the my entire freshman year and ended up, redshirt on scout team and those things. And how I got to receiver was Dinger was the offensive coordinator and receiver coach. And so in the spring, when we got in spring, go to spring workouts. Spring workouts, I ran a 4.29. And so that kind of started everything from there. So the spring workouts, I ran 4.29, and Dinger would always bring me over to run a post route or a go route. I did that for a few weeks. And then the last week of spring practice, a lot of receivers got hurt. And Galen came to me, wanted me to play receiver or try receiver out for a week and see how it unfolds. And I ended up scoring a touchdown in the spring game. And then I would always go back to Galen and see if I can go back to corner. I always felt like I was a natural corner. So receiver was something I really had to work at. Especially catching the ball. I wasn't a natural pass catcher, so it was something I had to work at.
Yeah, so, Coach Spurrier comes in 1990, brings in Dwayne Dixon as the wide receiver coach. And as you mentioned, I remember people talking about, how whether it was you or other guys had trouble catching the ball. What was it that Coach Dixon did? Because, I can't remember you dropping any balls that I threw you in the 1 year I got to play with you. But what was it that Coach Dixon did that helped increase y'all catching the football?
Probably the biggest thing was reps, just a lot of reps. And I think, you threw a nice ball. You throw an easy ball to catch. And Dixon's ball was left-handed. So there's a lot of things that you had to do to concentrate. And he was a rep guy, drill guy. I had never seen anything like that. And his energy was so it was so infectious that we did a lot. You saw what we did when we first got there. We would stay after practice, we'd be before practice. We'd do a lot of things with him, and he threw almost every pass. And that made a huge difference with that. And then the other part was Coach Spurrier. Just being in an offense that we're going to throw the ball. And just how he taught us the game. I knew the game from a cornerback, a new defensive from a cornerback's perspective. But how to attack it, I never really knew. And that's what he taught us when he came in. And that made it so much easier knowing where to go and being on the same page as you. That made it so much easier. And of course, man, you threw the best ball, man. Your ball was easy to catch.
Hey, Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today, 352-244-0840. Speaking of Doring, Doring has, I think him and some other guy are tied with the most touchdowns in SEC history with like 31. You caught 10 your senior year. Just think if you could have played in Coach Spurrier's system all 4 years, who knows how many touchdowns you would have caught.
Oh, man. You don't remember me dropping in, but I know I dropped 2 touchdowns. So man, there was a lot of touchdowns. I knew, probably from, I would have to say day one of spring that I had an opportunity to catch a lot of touchdowns. I had 3 the year before, with Emmett's last year and with Whitey Jordan as our offense coordinator, we ran and we threw the ball deep. And so I had 2 long touchdowns and I ended up with 3 of the season. And I was like, and I got 3 in that system. I can't imagine what I'm going to do, in this system. And not only that, I probably had a slow start touchdown while I had a few early, but towards the end, I felt so much more comfortable towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
The big thing is knowing, I could remember thinking I knew what the check was going to be before you made the check. So
that's what I tell everybody is, that's what Coach Spurrier did so well. The receivers and the quarterbacks always met together, and y'all heard what was coming out of his mouth about what we as a quarterback were supposed to do. And so it made y'all's job, y'all could see it unfold as well. And you're like, when you coverage, you're like, the ball's coming my way, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I knew, man. It was like licking your chops. I mean, it was an amazing feeling for me. I had never been anything like that, to know as soon as you line up, you're going to get the ball and you know it's going to be a touchdown.
Yep. And so in 1990, Coach Spurrier's first game against Oklahoma State, you know, I love when I speak to Gator clubs, I always like to do like a little trivia question, and it's who scored the first touchdown in the Spurrier era. And a lot of people think it's like Eric Red but they don't know it's Dexter McNabb.
You're right.
The person that ever caught a pass in the Spurrier era was Ernie Mills.
Right.
On blue slide Z-deep cross for about 25 yards.
Exactly.
I mean, let's go to week 2 in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which I think is the most crucial. It's the most important game in Florida football history. And the reason I say this, it's not winning the national titles. It's because Florida could never really get over the hump. And Coach Spurrier, his main focus was beat Georgia, and we got to win SEC road games to win a championship. Yep. We go into Tuscaloosa, play that early game against a team with great tradition, and it's kind of a slugfest. We can't block them very well, and we get the ball on the 1 yard line, and Coach signals in. I think it was 14 pass extra, and you were playing Z. I think Terrence was playing X, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was Zebra. I don't remember. But when he signaled,
I think it was draw 2, pass pattern 7. I think that's
maybe it was draw 2-7. Okay.
Yep, draw 2-7.
When he signaled it in, I was like, "What in the hell?"
Yeah, I said the same thing.
We can't get a pass off, and he's calling a 7-step drop on our all 1 yard line.
Hey, I said the same thing. I could tell you my mind running the route though, because I think we called something similar. It might have been extra earlier, and George Teague, who I ended up playing with at the end of my career with the Cowboys, and I remember him coming across my shoulder, coming across my bike late to knock it down. And the only thing I was thinking, like, he's not going to touch this one. Like, that's all I was thinking. But the first thought was like, man, I can't believe he called this. He called this he called this. Oh my gosh. I'm like, but I'm going to make the catch. I'm going to beat him bad, and I'm going to make the catch. And that was all I was concerned about coming out of there, is just making this catch. Will White made a great play to get us the ball, and I was also, they had already took my helmet, so I grabbed my helmet. I hurt my shoulder earlier on the play, and so I grabbed my helmet and ran out there from the excitement. But I was anxious to play the game because I hadn't played Alabama since my redshirt freshman year. My first college catch was against Alabama, and it was like a 40-something yard catch. And so I was anxious to get in that game. I felt confident going into that game.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say about that was, I throw a deep ball out of my own end zone, a post route. You catch it. I'm thinking we got a 99-yard touchdown, and the turf monster got you on about the 30-yard line.
Yeah, that was – it was all on the catch. I didn't catch it in stride. I caught it because, like I said, he came over my bike once before, and even though I know I beat him, I was concentrating on the ball at that point, and then I was shocked when I caught it and started running. I was shocked he was that close to me, kind of. But if I had to do it over again, he wouldn't have been nowhere in sight.
So we got a Facebook Live question here brought to you by Meldon Law, Where You Matter Most. It comes from our good friends at Focus Real Estate Group. It says, doesn't E-Mills have a play in Coach Spurrier's offense named after him? Yes, he does. We didn't name it Mills until after you graduated, but you ran the post route so well. Anytime we had some type of combination of the post route, the signal was this right here because you wore glasses. Blue draw orange Mills. Mills outhouse. It was all kinds of stuff, but you and Eric Kresser are the only people that have plays named after him. You know that?
Really? Oh man, I didn't know that. I knew about the one he named after me. And it was amazing. I got a call from my nephew who's like 15. He's 15 now, but it was a couple of years ago, maybe a year or two ago. But the 49ers use it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they used it, and he sent it to me. My nephew sent it to me saying, "I didn't know you had a play named after you." Like, yeah, I didn't know the 49ers was using it. I think the play that he overthrew in the Super Bowl, they're saying that's what that was called.
Awesome. We got a text here on the Titan our text line. It comes from Daryl. He wants to know, could you ask Ernie who was the best defensive back he ever faced against while at Florida?
That's easy. That's Deion.
Deion?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was something else. There's no question about that.
Yeah. That was easy. But it was, it's tough to compare because we weren't a big throwing team. Not to mention, that's when I was a freshman basically at receiver when first time I played against him, and and Kerwin was quarterback, so it's different. I was a freshman and I was so green. I was so green at the receiver spot. So I'm gonna
put you on the spot right here. Whose ball was easier to catch, mine or Kerwin's?
You're wrong for that. You're wrong for that shit. But yours was.
I know the answer to that because I don't even like to play catch with Kerwin.
Yours was easier, man, by far. I'm telling you, man, you could hear Kerwin ball coming, and that was crazy. I mean, my thumbs was jammed and sprained every day with Kerwin. It's like I got to look at it, man. He probably one of the hardest throwers I played with. I mean, that ball was literally, I could hear it coming.
He could throw it hard, no question about it. So, Ernie, when you look back at your Florida career, was there one game, one opponent that you look forward to playing? Was it, is it Florida State every year? Was it Georgia? What game did you enjoy the most?
Oh, man. Well, we played them every year at that time. So for me, it always started – the big games, it always started with LSU, Auburn, Georgia, and Florida State. I mean, I can't even – like, those four stick with me because we played them every season. Mm-hmm. And that Georgia and Auburn game was back-to-back. That's Auburn, then Georgia back-to-back. That was a monster back then. That was real football, those two teams – and usually when we played Auburn, it was going to be a little letdown, even though we had to play Georgia back-to-back. So, and if we didn't play well against Auburn, that coming in that Georgia game was always going to be rough. But those are games I look forward to.
So, Ernie, you had a good career at Florida. You get drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. You go up there, you play a little bit, and you get to play in the damn Super Bowl. How cool was that?
Amazing, man. It was amazing. It was one of those games that if I had looking back, I wish I could have enjoyed it a little more. But I was just so focused on trying to win that game, and because it is the big game, and like they say, most people don't remember the losing team. So I was really focused on that game. But it's just the thought of a game where you're going to play in, and everybody, and everybody in the world is watching. And so, you can play different football games, and people may or may not watch, and people have their favorite teams, but everybody watched the Super Bowl. And so I was just so focused on that game and ready to play. I actually played a pretty good game before I tore my ACL, so I was having a pretty good game for that.
And then you played for the Panthers for a year, then you go to the Cowboys. So you were fortunate enough to play for the Steelers and the Cowboys, two of the best franchises in all of professional sports. Yeah, exactly. Is there one? Do you like one of them more than the other?
Yeah, I would have to say because I played in Pittsburgh for 6 years, so it would have to be Pittsburgh. But I really like playing in Dallas. I like the city of Dallas. Liked the organization, got to reunite, play with Emmett again. And then I was an 8 and 9 year vet, so the game was a lot easier for me at that point. Practice, I got to, practice was more enjoyable once you get up 30, 31 years old. You and I played together with the Panthers that year before. That was a rough year. But yeah, I enjoyed Dallas, but Pittsburgh's going to always be better for me or more favorite for me because because for one, we made it to the Super Bowl, so that kind of takes it over the top.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you this. I don't know if I ever asked you this because, usually receivers, when they come into the league, they're young, they put them back there to return kickoffs, and you did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you enjoy returning kickoffs? Because
I loved it.
Because a lot of dudes, there ain't a whole lot of blocking sometimes on those things.
Yeah, that's true. But I loved it because I went through so much back and forth in Pittsburgh as far as playing time, starting, and being a backup. But my rookie year, what made me really love it, I was playing. I was on the field blocking for Rod Woodson, the Hall of Famer. But then I was also his backup whenever he didn't want to return kickoffs. He loved punts more than kickoffs, but whenever he didn't want to return kickoffs, I was his backup. And so I caught one against Buffalo and returned it 50-something yards. And I was like, oh, man, I like this. I just love the flow of it. I love to be able to see the whole field. I didn't do that in college, so it was a different feeling. And once I had my best year at it was in '95. The same year we went to the Super Bowl. It kind of got me in the game. You know, you're going to get popped. You know, you're going to take a good shot. And so I was ready to play after that, get that first lick out of the way.
So after you were done playing, you kind of set out a little bit, enjoyed life, and then you got into coaching. You coached with Kerwin. You were his receiver coach at AU, and then you moved on to Florida A&M University. Did you really enjoy coaching college ball?
Yeah, I did. I enjoy seeing the growth of players. I enjoy giving back and being around those young guys and watching them grow and develop. Really love coaching for Kerwin. I just love the way he think and the way he saw the game. Learned a lot from that aspect. Really, I'm telling you, I really, really enjoyed it there at JU. Jacksonville University. So I love the aspect of coaching. Wish my body could have held up better standing out there, standing on the field and that kind of thing. But I did. I just like the fact of telling someone or showing someone young some different things and techniques that I know, watching them go out there and produce with it. And really have some good receivers there at Jacksonville University.
Yeah, we got a Facebook Live question here for you, brought to you by Metal Law When You Matter Most. Jeff wants to know, Ernie, what are your thoughts on a 10-game SEC schedule this season?
I'm loving the fact that they're going to be able to play. I mean, that's probably the number one thing. I know SEC games, 10 of them is shoot, that's tough. We really wish they could have threw the Florida State game in there. But considering what we're going through, hey, man, let them play.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Last thing for you, Ernie, I ask all the people, you only had 1 year with him, but you know he's a character. You got a good Coach Spurrier story for us?
Oh, man. Oh, wow.
It's so funny. It's so funny when I ask the players this, everybody has the same reaction.
Oh, man, probably my funniest story is actually not when I was playing. Kerwin and I was riding, he was coaching, and he was calling. Kerwin was talking to Spurrier, he was on the speakerphone, and he had saw us coach the All-Star game. So we were on our way back to Jacksonville. He saw us coach the All-Star game, and he said, Kerwin, you and Ernie look pretty big out there. Y'all need to get to work. You guys need to exercise for lunch. That was so classic experience. So I was like, man, I laughed for a while, man. But
I used to love how he used to get on Coach Dixon. Coach Dixon would be sleeping during the meetings, you know.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I realized the hardest thing for me to do when I did coach was to stay awake. All those meetings all day. So
yeah, it's tough, no doubt about it. Well, Ernie, we appreciate you joining us, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me out here, man. Good to see you, man. It's been a minute.
Yep. All right. That's Ernie Mills. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. We're going to take our final time out of the pro. When we come back, we'll wrap this show up. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Hey Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. PodUp with Matthews in the Morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Gainesville Turnover Specialist.
Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Celebration Point Town Center. Center State Bank. Chris Doring Mortgage.
Our touchdown sponsors are
Campus USA Credit Union. The Digital Mortgage Guy. Adams Ribs. Doreen Wiebe, Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Gator Dominoes. Celebrate Primary Care. Davis Gainesville Chevrolet. Miapa Latin Cafe. Rap Spot. Okido America. Gators Dockside. Radware. Style Cuts. Ironwood Golf Course. TB Financial. Meadowbrook Golf Course. Dar Shakow Insurance.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. I want to thank my man Ernie Mills, good old number 14. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. Good guy. His body took a beating in the NFL. Was a tremendous coach and now just hanging out, living life in Dunellen, Florida. This Day in Sports is brought to you by GTS, Gainesville's premier maintenance company. Whether you need carpet cleaning or expert painting, fences mended, or any handyman services, call GTS 352-363-6622. And we're actually going to do a play of the day because the game last night between the Heat and the Celtics, Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat had one of the greatest blocks in NBA history to pretty much save the game for the Heat. It was just, that's the play of the day, brought to you by GTS, Gainesville's premier maintenance company. Make sure, folks, you have your friends and family follow our show, our program here on Facebook Live. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Don't forget, next week on Monday, JC Deacon, Gator golf coach, who's a tremendous player himself. We'll talk about his career, his team, and recap the U.S. Open. And next Wednesday, a week from today, we'll have Bobby Bowden on the program. That should be a treat. And for all of us, the rest of this week, tomorrow, we got our high school segment. We'll also have Brent Beard talking college football. And on Friday, we're going to have Anthony Nesty, All-American swimmer at the University of Florida. Now the Gators swim and dive coach. Just a phenomenal career for him. And he'll tell us what's going on with the swim team. Pretty much that's going to be, today's show is going to be a wrap, brought to you by Rap Spot. Be safe out there, everyone. Make sure you tune in and follow us tomorrow. Take care.